All right, here we go. Please subscribe to the channel. Please.
Hey guys, YouTube's got an algorithm and it really help us out a lot if you could like, comment, and subscribe. This is how we can get more information out to more people and share the message of Toronto real estate.
In
Thanks.
that order. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the damn bell.
Who's sass? Here's a nameless player. Who's sass?
That's a good one.
So I forgot that we were doing this, and then I remembered, and then I forgot again, and then I remembered, and it wasn't too late.
So we're live.
look,
We're doing a stat show.
We're doing the stat show. And
I
look,
love
you
it.
just
Welcome
you
back.
sent me a text. You're good for 12.
We're both in the studio today, which is great. Welcome back, Darryl. We got the Toronto Real Estate Board releasing the stats for June 2021. What happened in the market? What happened out there?
What happened out there? That's a good question. Do you want me to pull up the stats?
Sure. What do you
stat
got?
show?
Did you get anything going
Oh, I
this week?
got it. Oh, I got it, baby.
Got it. You're on
Oh,
top
I
of stuff.
got it. I got it, baby. Here you have it. I don't know if you want to do your reading thing here and summarize what Treb says happened last month.
Well, I want to point out something.
Oh,
We have a new Toronto Real Estate Board president, Kevin Krigger. Welcome, Kevin.
Krigger. All right.
Welcome to the team, Kevin.
Let's see
Now,
how
the new way
Kevin
that Treb is doing things, which is good, I like it this way, is they no longer allow, because what was happening is all the presidents were just like popular agents. So like here's TK, who's never volunteered once at Treb, and all of a sudden says, I'm going to be the president of the Toronto Real Estate Board. And
As
then
you should.
they run, which is allowed. They run and then they get elected because everyone's like, oh, that's such a great person. He's so popular. He's so nice. He makes all this money. I want to be, his friend. And it's a popularity contest. And then now that's the guy who's the president or girl. And everyone's like, what's going on with Treb? This person doesn't know what they're doing because they've never been behind the scenes on the committees and all that kind of stuff. So now there is requirements to be actually a member and part of the committees and stuff. So whoever is elected, these are all great presidents. They're all doing a great job. So welcome.
Okay, well, that was good. And do you know him personally?
No, never heard of him, but I know that
But you
that's
vouched
a
for
good
him.
thing. That's a
But you
good thing.
vouched for him.
Do I vouch for him?
Well, it's sounding like you're vouching
Yeah, I
for
vouch
him.
for him. No idea. Yes, I vouch for him.
Okay, well, he's got TK's seal of approval. Let me
Yeah.
just see if I can match TK's head size, although that doesn't seem possible. Although from the sounds of it, normally it would probably be the other way around. But anyways, okay, TK.
Yeah.
We have a stat show. And the
Absolutely.
stats
So we had a
are
good month. We had a good month
crazy.
of sales. I always like to start with the sales. 11,106 sales in Toronto, the GTA and the Toronto Real Estate Board MLS sales. This was a fantastic number, and it's nothing to sneeze at compared to last year, 8,645. That's a major difference, right? So 28.5% more sales. Things were still pretty COVID-like back in June, but still the market was moving forward.
Slightly COVID-ish.
Very COVID-ish.
It was
But it was
very
one of the best
COVID-ish.
Junes on record ever
The best Junes of record.
for sales.
But I mean, the number looks impressive. 11,000 sales in one city in 1 month. I mean, there's some places that don't get that in a year.
That's a great number. So
It's
that's
a good number. I
something
like
to
it.
be talked about. But when we look at the month previous, right, is like the trend, right, which we've been talking
Boom!
about. So
There it is. Look at
you've
that.
got it on the screen there. So May's 11,951 sales
The
shows
market's cooling, TK.
trending downwards. March 15,652 and so on, right? So it's just the way that it goes. I mean, everybody knew this. You and I have been talking about it every month and every week, that we were in an unsustainable market and that, there was a lot of crazy activity back in March and April.
The market is cooling off. People are running for the hills, TK. The market is cooling off. Look at these horrific, horrible numbers month after month after month.
No issues, man. No issues. Good month of sales. It's a phenomenal market. And he did talk about this. Kevin made a nice comment here. The wording he used, I
We have
liked.
seen market activity there.
Was
Paragraph 3.
paragraph 3. I think he used the word robust. I can't find
He
it.
did. It's down there. I just saw
Okay.
it.
So, anyways, it's still a robust market. It is a
We have
fantastic
seen
seller's
market
market.
activity transition from a record pace to a robust pace over the
Yes.
last 3 months. Now
Which
let's just go back in time. Like if we could go back in time and you were okay, now it's time. I'm all crooked. Now it's time for you to make a prediction. If you were to say TK over the next 3 months, we would have robust activity in the market. I'd feel
Yeah.
pretty good about things.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty happy with robust as well. It's just where are
Where
we
do we
going to
go
be
from
now? So now we're in
here?
July, right? So if we look at July sales, July 2020, the sales were 11,081. All right. June 2021, 11,106. So we're literally neck and neck with the July from last year. So my prediction is we'll have a decrease in sales year over year, July 2021 compared to July 2020. Now, why is that? Because July 2020 was like the best July we ever had. It was fantastic. July and August were like record months last year because that's when the pandemic was opening and people started to get back on track again. Yeah, so here, that's a great chart. So that's your sales, right? So if you look at July and August, which is the blue, you can see that July and August had peaked into, obviously the 3 Julys, or this will be now 4th July, that have existed over the last little while. Those were record months. And that trending downward orange line in the top corner is actually going to end up coming down a little bit underneath those July and August months, is what I'm seeing. Now, that being said, we've already talked about this a little bit too, is we had a huge amount of inventory, or we've had a huge amount of sales happen this year at a much earlier time. So we're actually still on track to have the single most, the highest number of sales ever in the Toronto Real Estate Board this year.
Yeah, if you look at it, like I add these lines to it so we can kind of see if there's a pattern ever developing. And it seems like June through December are fairly consistent with how the market kind of behaves,
Yeah.
right? I mean, obviously at different levels in the market, but if you look at these lines, I mean, they're all
They're
basically
great lines, by the
the
way.
same thing.
Those,
They are amazing
it looks
lines.
like Treb released those themselves, and to find out that my friend Darryl did them, I'm pretty proud right now.
This is part of the Frankfurt report version of the Treb report. Those lines, they do everything. Okay,
Provided
it's all
by.
about the lines.
You
I'm
don't
gonna
even have
get
to
rid of a
credit
yeah.
Treb anymore because you put those lines in, man. That's sick.
Fuck Treb. Okay, so hold on. So sales very important, and
Yeah.
we see that like obviously something weird has been going on.
What was that?
But look at how the gray and the green line. So 2018, 2019, most of like the tail end of 2020, they're all doing the same thing, and then you have like
Yeah.
this
Seasonal
inverse.
patterns. Yeah.
But you
Yeah,
have this inverse reaction to the
Yes.
pandemic
Yeah.
in 2020 versus 2021, whereas the exact almost opposite time of the dip in 2020 was reversed in 2021,
Yes.
right?
And
So
now
I mean,
the height of 2020 may be our slowest period of 2021.
and I remember in 2019, like it was pretty good times, right?
It was
Things
okay,
were
but it wasn't fantastic.
no, but
We were
it was
averaging out back to the 25-year average in 18 and 19. 16 and 17 were out there, and obviously 20 and 21 have been out there. But if you look at the 25-year averages and take those years out, 18 and 19 were pretty consistent.
but still, I mean, not bad years by any standards. So I mean, it looks like we'll end up somewhere in between 2020 and 2019 over the rest of the year, or
That's a
who the
good guess.
hell knows, right? That would be my guess based on
Yeah.
this. Based
Yeah.
on what's happened lately, nobody knows, and who the hell knows. Average prices we talked about. I mean, they're pretty boring. They just kind of keep going up.
Well,
They
let's
went
talk about
down
them,
a
right?
little
So
bit.
1,089,536. So the average price is a cumulative figure of all the different types of properties that have
Yeah,
sold.
it's
So when you
such
have higher
horseshit.
priced properties and you have lower priced properties, it
And
skews the average.
what mix of each?
Yeah. And so that's that's something to be considering. So, well, yeah, I'll give you that number. So, if we look at total sales price by range, okay, and we look at the June 2021 numbers, okay, everything over $2 million sales, there was 699 sales, which is actually really high. I'm surprised that it was that high. Okay,
Whoa.
much higher than some of the ones that we were seeing in 2020. In May 2021, we had 794. Right? So that
That sounds good.
95 represents like 12% roughly less sales over $2 million in June compared to May. So yeah, we're going to see a pretty significant drop in the number of or the average price. Make
Right.
sense?
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, if it's all waiting and, well, it's all waiting and content. So it really depends if there's more condos versus single families or vice
Exactly.
versa,
And
right?
condos did really well this month too, which is something we should talk about as well. So let's just look at average prices in condos. It's actually at a high, like an all-time high, 683,479.
Whoa.
Yeah, so we've started to see. I think Toronto's close to the high in the 416. It's up there, but it's the 905 that's come up a lot, right? So the 905 average is now 611,000, and that's bumped up the overall number. So that's a really good sign that condos are back and that they're affordable and that they're an option for people to buy. And like that's just what are your what are your choices right now, right? Like, can everybody go and buy a $2 million house? Like average detached house in Toronto, right? 1.7. Is that something that most people have in their budget? No, not a chance. So most people are saying, how do I get a house for 6, 7, 800,000? And if I can't, and I'm not willing to drive far enough to get that, like, yeah, you got to go into a condo. Condos are the answer.
It's funny you say that. So I was watching a video, Realosophy, what's his
Yep.
name?
This
And
house.
yeah. And so he was reading, I guess somebody who was commenting to one of his videos or some posting of his. They have a down payment for a $700,000 house, and they make a good living, like over $100,000 for the family. And they're like getting frustrated because they can't find anything. And if they go further out, she mentioned something which we never talked about, which I find interesting, is there's an opportunity cost to the travel and a cost to the travel that sometimes
Outweighs sometimes.
right,
Yep.
sometimes even outweighs the
Yep.
savings by moving
Yep.
out there, at least on a
100%.
month to month
Wear and
basis,
tear on the
right?
vehicle, gas, uh,
So
services, entertainment, all that kind of stuff.
and then I read another article about a woman who decided to quit her job and become a freelancer now because she gained all this extra time by not having to travel far downtown to the office and blah 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 blah. So why am I saying this?
I don't know.
Well, I just think it's going to have a real effect on all these averages coming up, and like we're just guessing based on previous trends that I don't know totally exist anymore, right?
So you think
Like,
people will get a wake up call when they move outside of the city to say, wait a second, it's actually not that much cheaper to be out here. Is that what
well,
you're
I
saying?
mean, I don't know well, you're saying how many people can afford $2 million houses, but the problem is all across the board, right? The problem is at 700,000, it's at 2 million, it's at 1.7, there's no
Mm,
inventory of anything.
yeah.
So I bring it up because it's like it's just another layer on this decision that people have to make when there's no inventory. Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
And then I think it starts to become now the conversation is like, is it smarter to rent? Right. But then you end up, well, maybe I'm going to get trapped in the rent because these prices are never coming down. And it's like this
Yeah.
craziness that people are dealing with.
We should find somebody who's got a YouTube channel who believes very strongly in the rent debate and bring them on the show and just kind of hear all their points of view to see what they have to say. I know you've got some good points, but I want to just
Yeah.
kind of see what's out there. I mean, I think it's not for the average Joe, that's for sure. I think buying is
Well,
always going to be the greatest stimulator of wealth compared to renting, no matter what. 99 out of 100 people.
but what about new listings now? Because what I noticed was kind of
Ooh.
interesting. Do you want to talk
What?
about new
Yeah,
listings?
let's do it.
So I don't really care so much about new listings as much as I care about active listings. I say that all the time. And new
Yeah.
listings obviously lead to active listings, right? But What's crazy is that we have now active listings of 11,297. Is that correct? Am I reading this right?
Active listings 11,297. Yep, that's at the end of the month. How many
the end of the
listings were
month.
there? Yeah.
Right. So I mean that's the plus minus between sales and old inventory and new inventory. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes.
That is how many are currently available for sale. Right. And
Yes.
the last couple of months, we'll see, even the last basically 5 months, we've sold more than that each and every month. So am I right in noticing that we only have 1 month of inventory in the entire GTA?
Of all asset types. Yep. I know. It's a crazy seller's market. Like,
It's
yeah,
not even
there's,
fair. Look at this.
yeah,
Look at this here. Sales to new listings ratio 120 something percent.
yeah. So a
What?
lot of pressure on the prices in June.
And it's just climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing. Look at the
Yeah.
pattern
Yeah.
every year in December.
That
It
is
goes
the indicator of
boom.
where the market's going. Always. This is the first thing. Sales to new listing ratio, months of inventory. Treb tracks sales to new listings ratio, but months of inventory is the same thing. They are the best indicators. That's I can wherever that is, I can tell you where the market's going because of that indicator.
And
Right?
this,
There's no
yeah,
way the market's going up if we got 6 months of inventory, and there's no way that the
no,
market's going down if we got 1 month of inventory.
no. And we have 1 month of inventory
Yeah,
across every class.
yeah,
So, I mean, I'm only looking in maybe one class, two classes, possibly, if I'm trying to stretch one way or the other, right?
yep,
Most people are only looking at one class. If you break that down, the options become abysmal, right?
yep,
In
yep.
my class, there's not a month worth of inventory. There's like a few days worth of inventory. In your class, there's a few days, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Everybody's
yeah.
class,
And then all over Ontario too. So it's actually tighter in
this is
that's the Toronto Real Estate Board sales. So that's all over Ontario because there's lots of different listings posted, right? But if you just said, well, I'm
that's
only going to
even
look in,
worse.
yeah, Barrie or maybe even something smaller, like in one of those small town communities up north or whatever, that yeah, could be like we have like 0.3 months of inventory right now, just because everyone's been snatching up the real estate.
Like, how do you do this? How do you
Yeah,
do this? And
and then there's
how
other
is
places where you could look at a real micro market and be like, okay, these 10 streets or whatever, and they'll have 2 point something months of inventory because everyone's been listing and they haven't been selling for whatever reasons. Like they're just
where's
different.
that happening?
There's a
Like
few places
one
like
street in Ontario.
no, well there but like yeah, so for example, there could be one area that's got some specific high-end homes and there's only like 3 streets and they're all on acre lots and they're all very specific and they're all, for a certain type of buyer and there's just a bunch of inventory in there and there's only one sale a month. There happens to be 6 houses for sale. So it's like technically the months of inventory is 6, but again, it's a skewed
On the
average
street. Yeah,
on the
okay.
street in the area. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
a great stat. We should post that next time.
Find
But
the worst,
this
find
is
the buyer's market.
crazy. Find
In
the best street to buy on in
this street right
Ontario.
now, there's 6 houses
Quick.
for sale. By far the best place to buy.
And by tomorrow, there's 0 months of inventory
It
left,
could
right?
change pretty quick.
It
Yeah.
can change on a dime. So yeah, sales to new listings ratio, this coupled with which way the average sale is going, and I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm an eternal optimist, maybe I'm a ridiculous bull, but like a drop of what do we got? 20 grand, not even 19 grand month to month with a unequal sampling doesn't really concern me all that much. But what's crazy is like every single article says the market is falling.
They love
It's
it.
it's getting cold.
I don't want to get too much into the,
I know.
the Sunday show because this is the stats show, but even CMHC,
Yes, we want
even
more market share.
CMHC is changing their policies for how they're going to be underwriting their deals.
I
Right?
guarantee you. I guarantee. Okay, I guarantee we'll talk more on Sunday, but I guarantee
Yeah.
you that if I had the time and or inclination to go back in time, we already talked about, like, the minute that they announced that they were changing their policy,
Yeah.
one of us, and I don't remember which one, it was
You can have
probably
the credit if
you.
it's a good thing.
I don't know who it was, but I know we
Okay.
talked about the fact that they're going to lose market share because this is
Okay.
stupid
We
what they're
both agreed
doing.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that it was going to have no impact on
on the market at
curtailing
all.
buyers'
No,
spending, right? Yeah.
no, nothing.
Yeah.
So, but what's going on? The stats say yay, but the media says nay.
Honest, like I'd love to tell you that it's like we're all human, right? So just even realtors, it doesn't matter who you are, how many years experience you have, you're
Well, there's human
influenced by
realtors out there.
your influence or how, whoever you are, developer, real estate interest, whatever, you are swayed by the media and you hear all this stuff. Oh, the market's crashed. Oh no, the
What
market's
the
got more
fuck
listings.
am I
Or
gonna
you,
do?
or there's one sale on your street that takes an extra few days and you go, oh my gosh, everything else was selling in a week. Now that took 9 days.
Yeah.
All over asking.
Why did we jump in so quick? What were we doing?
Yeah, that's just how it goes, right? Like that's just normal human instincts. And I wish I wish we could look at those charts and you and I could be like, you know what? Because those charts say those data points in this pattern, we are 100% sure that the market is going to follow this line over the next 6 months.
Yeah.
It just doesn't exist.
Nobody on the planet was right about anything.
Yeah, doesn't exist.
Nothing.
So when all these people who are out there proposing that the market is going to crash and that they know and that they're the big short experts of whatever, even the guy in the Big Short, the movie, like, yeah, he was right, but really he was calling for it for years. Like it took him a couple years to be right.
I think if you were on the inside of that thing, it didn't take a genius to recognize what was going on. But he was actually,
But it was happening for like a long time. So like it took
right.
literally it took him 10 years to figure it out. Then
Sure.
it took 2 more years for him to be right. So
People have been
maybe
calling for the
maybe it
Toronto
does take a
crash
genius.
since I ever heard about real estate or had
Yeah.
anything. Like, always. It was,
Yeah.
when is it ending? This is crazy. When's it going to crash?
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, do we consider, like, kind of have to consider what happened last year, a crash, no? Like, sales dove off a cliff. What more
I don't
is
think
it?
so. No,
What
I
does
don't
a
think the
crash have to
crash.
last, like, for years?
I think crash needs to be like significant, like 20 or 30%.
30%.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just talking about ebbs and flows of the market. Things change. It was 2 months of, it's like a recession, right? So a recession is 2 consecutive quarters of contraction, right? So just because one quarter all of a sudden things don't go well, they don't claim it's a recession. It's right. There's more patterns
But,
that need to be followed.
well, all right, fine.
I
No
have a good
crash.
story. I don't know if I took it before, or if I told it before or not. So it was 10 years ago. So I have a good friend of mine, he's bought and sold a bunch of houses and his sister and her husband wanted to buy. So they said to me, we want to buy a home. It was $300,000 in Scarborough. Right. So we're out there looking, we looked at a bunch of houses. It might've been a month or two. I don't really know. And they said, you know what, TK, market's going to crash. We're going to go and rent in Mississauga and we're going to buy these houses for cheaper. Right.
Yeah.
Now, this is a $300,000 house. So what's cheaper? Let's say it's a crash, 30%. Right. So now they got $90,000 off the price of the $300,000 home. That's what they want to save by going and renting, which renting would have cost them 15, 20,000 a year, whatever it was. Right.
Yeah.
So I never thought anything about it. I probably sent them some emails, did a few things, a couple of years, never hear from them. They're out of my thoughts. And about a year or two ago, the brother came to me and, again, successful guys, got different real estate dealings, made a good amount of money in real estate. And he says to me, my sister and her husband never bought. They're still waiting for the market to crash.
Right.
And those $300,000 houses in Scarborough are over $1 million, 1.2, something like that.
Sure.
Right.
Disgusting.
So
disgusting and
I get
amazing
why
at the same time.
But I get why people want to save money. Yes, if I could get something for 30% cheaper, I would want to buy it. Give it to me for 30% cheaper. That is fantastic news. That's what I want. But
I'm not even waiting 10 minutes though for that normally.
what if I'm wrong? right? What if I'm wrong and that 30% doesn't happen? And let's say I'm going to buy $1 million house and 30% is 300 grand. I want to save 300 grand. Okay. But
That was our entire rationale with buying our house and doing it quick the way that we did, because I feel deep in my bones that there's a gigantic run up coming. And even if it feels a little media
even
induced,
if you're wrong and it's 30 and there's a $300,000 loss
not
over the
going
next
down.
2 years, but even if you are wrong, when are you selling? Like, are you not going to be there for 5-10 years? Is it not going to be like, do you not think that the prices are going to regain again? Like, so that's worst case scenario. Let's say, oh my
Sure.
gosh, I did it wrong. But what if you don't buy and you're wrong about the market correcting because everyone's been saying it forever, and then
Yeah.
now you're stuck in a rental or a smaller home or whatever the situation is, right? Your parents, and that you
Yeah.
didn't end up getting in the market, and now not only did you avoid, this $200,000-300,000 loss that you thought was going to happen that never did, but now you actually are going to incur a $400,000 or $500,000 loss in value and mortgage pay down that you could, and there's no rent that you have to pay, so you avoid all those costs. So now there's $400,000 or $500,000 of equity, of wealth that you could have had 5 years from now if you just didn't listen to that little voice in your head saying, the Facebook group told me that it's going to crash because they have some sort of information that, is not available to the public.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, like if you rent and you invest your money in something that keeps pace with the real estate market, I mean, and you can leverage stocks. There's all kinds of ways you can make. But I do
100%.
listen. I love real estate.
Yeah.
There's just a case you can make for both sides. But when a market runs up 30% in a year, following a year where it ran up 12 or 15%, following a year where it ran up 8 or 9%, like, it doesn't sound like it could have been a good idea. Even
But I
3
can give you,
years
I
ago.
can still find the guy who did better by renting over the last year or two.
The guy,
Exist.
but he's like he's by
He
himself on an
took his
island.
money. He took his money and he
Yeah.
started a e-commerce business that,
Yes.
took off and made him millions. He shouldn't have bought.
Yes.
He should have rented. He did very well.
Should have
It's just,
rented.
I deal with the public. The public isn't that guy. They're like,
No.
I got a job. My boss pays me this much. I need a place to live.
Yeah.
That's it. There's
That's
no
it.
like, oh my gosh, I need
That's
to
it.
like get ahead and I've got all these great strategies and I'm going to be a millionaire because no, that's not the average Joe. So if you are that
No.
1% guy, don't buy, put your money into the business or stock or investment, whatever it is, and rent a basement apartment and stay there until you're a millionaire and you can buy a house cash, and you'll prove me wrong and I'm happy for you.
I
It's
love the
just,
way that it's a basement apartment and you made it so gross and horrible to be a renter.
yeah,
TK,
and
you're
basement apartment in
so
Cabbagetown,
judgmental.
and you'll
Jesus Christ. What if it's like a palatial estate?
to rent something like that. Sure.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. You know what I mean? Don't use the
Well, I
down
don't
payment.
know that you do.
A
Okay.
palatial estate means that, I agree with you. And I'm going to correct myself,
I think you
because
should.
if your lifestyle is to be in a $4 million home, putting
Yeah.
putting the $1 million down payment you would have used towards your business and instead paying $8,000 a month rent, then continue to do that. And then your business will grow and you'll be a millionaire in Premier Roll.
Boom. There you go. Recipe. Now, are you going to be doing a seminar next week on this topic?
Yeah. Yeah. It's at my
Get
house.
people to a seminar for you next week
It's an in-person seminar at my house.
at your house, or will
At
you
my
be
house.
cooking?
5
Will
people.
there be meat involved?
I could get some barbecue going.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
here
I
we
like the
go.
black t-shirt, white t-shirt today. This is good. I was wearing a
You know
suit
what?
this morning, but I took
I'm
it off
not
to do
even
some work at home.
I'm not even kidding. I think I've decided to go full on Zuckerberg with just
Billionaire.
black t-shirts every day.
Do it.
It's way
You gotta think like a
easier.
billionaire if you're gonna ever be one.
I don't know if I'm gonna be a billionaire, but I don't want to think about what I'm wearing every day anymore. Is that
Perfect.
weird?
No.
All right.
I've always thought about just buying 2 suits, like 4 of one and 4 of the other.
Doesn't work with suits, man, because then you look
No?
like you can't afford 3 suits.
You just get like different like pocket squares.
Maybe. I guess it depends
No
how
one will ever
close
know.
people are paying attention. If it was me, I'd notice that you only had 2 suits. I'd be like,
Yeah.
fuck, TK only has 2 suits. Maybe he needs a little help.
Maybe we should try to find another agent who's got more suits.
I
Excuse
need
me,
more
how many suits do you have? I'd like
I
to
would
know
like
before we
the
meet.
agent with the most suits, please. That should be the new ranking system. We should make that up.
Yeah.
Ranking by suits. I like
First
it.
is
TK?
first is the suits, then the car,
And you know what? Okay.
and then the watch.
You would probably not rank that higher, but
I'd be in trouble.
I don't
2
want to do
suits.
another commercial for you. But TK,
Showing
I
up
got
in
to
an
tell you,
Uber, showing up in an Uber
like, look
with a
at this.
Timex.
Where is this? Can this be
can't see
seen?
it,
No. Oh, I'm holding up my Frank Leo notepad, my things to do notepad that I got in the mail, and I wanted to thank you for that. And
You're
I
welcome.
use it every day. And I also have this like pad full of sticky notes. That's quite nice to
There's
have.
actually more to come, so this is just one of many.
It's good.
Yeah.
But I do. Can I give one tiny criticism about the beautiful package that I was sent?
I
Because
hope
it
you
is
can.
very
Yeah,
nice. It's
yeah, I hope you can.
constructive. It's constructive.
Good.
I got to say I was a little less than impressed with the stock of the paper
Okay.
that's in the package. It's pretty cheesy,
Okay.
and the font is like it's like somebody used a typewriter. What's going on here?
There was hand typed and signed by Frank
It looks
himself.
like no. Somebody had like the stamp and the
He had
and
a
the
little.
chisel thing.
That's how he used to do offers back in the day. So now he's
Right,
just making sure
okay.
he personalizes letters.
So he's progressed, but just not quite to where we are in 2021. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was very nice though. And tell Frank I appreciate all of his efforts in the sale of my house.
Yeah, no problem. He was
did a
great. He was
great job.
instrumental.
He was instrumental.
I do all the heavy lifting, but he's behind the scenes.
He's behind the scenes, but it's a nice
Hammering the
touch when you
chisel and
get
hammer.
like a discount card for movers and a couple things. It's good.
Yeah,
He's
good.
got this thing down to a science.
We're a pretty big operation.
It's a big
We're the
operation.
biggest operation. So
The biggest operation. Well, look
biggest
at that.
operation.
This episode has been brought to you by Frank Leo and Associates. Thanks for watching.
good. Thanks, Daryl. I'll see you Sunday.
No, thank you, sir. Thank you.